Hello and welcome to the Blackout Podcast, where I get to talk to amazing people who do amazing things. And today I have Robert Batuo, the founder and owner of Batuo Inc., artist, designer, entrepreneur. Thanks for coming to the podcast today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you
no,
for having me
so I'm super excited for this one because like the background story for me, I'm on Instagram all the time, and then a friend of mine shared this story, and I saw the fabric, which is African fabric, but it's like different, I was like avant-garde. I'm like, is this African couture? Who is this person? I need to know the person behind this. So first off, thanks for replying my message, and thanks for coming on. So tell me the story about Batuo Inc.
Yeah, so Batuo is my middle name, and it's my mom's maiden name, right? I'm heavily influenced by my mom's fashion. Like I had to see her like every day looking dapper. It didn't matter whether she was sad, whether she was happy. She always looked flawless, right? She was like a fashion icon. I mean, I keep saying was, but she's still around. So, but it's just when I was with her and I could see her, but now I'm here and she's not around Canada right now.
Yeah.
So just getting from that influence and like art has really been my language, my voice from birth. But growing further, I realized I really have an inclination for fashion. So I've been designing clothes for my friends like way back when, like giving them sketches to take to tailors, like when the skinny jeans period came about. I would take them to tailors to reduce their jeans. I would shop with them, and so I built sort of a confidence around like designing.
Yeah.
And I watched a lot of my drawing training comes from cartoons, so I didn't go to any art school. So from watching cartoons and seeing the imagination with their costumes and everything, I feel like that kind of influenced my desire to become a designer, but of that sense, right?
Yeah.
And another thing too, it's like there's this view that African fashion is Ankara fabric. You know what I mean? African fashion is Ankara fabric. All respect to Ankara fabric, like it made us who we are, like that's usually what's associated to our identity and everything. But I just felt that like it's very reductionist to like see African fashion as like that one thing, you know what I mean? Like when we have the most culture, like we have the most inspiration in Africa, you know what I mean? We have all these stories that the world doesn't know. So I decided to take those stories and create artwork that I would use to create my prints. That's why they look like that, So it's an African accent, but then it's not like Ankara fabric. It's a story in the artwork that I'm telling, but like making it the African way, right? So you see, like when you hear Versace, you think of a European, Italian. My goal is that when people hear Batuo, then they think about African, but African with like an originality that they've never seen before. Yes, and the name Batuo means the fire that rises from the ashes.
Oh, so like Phoenix.
Yes. So initially, so like just as the more I was working, the more I realized, okay, so my brand really signifies the phoenix, and then I really, like zeroed down and focused on like the meaning of my brand, which means to be reborn, right? To be reborn from the ashes, like the phoenix.
Dude,
that is the story of
okay, it makes sense now because it's like it's African, yes, but it's so different, Oh man, so okay, I hear this a lot from people that didn't go to art school but make amazing art. They always say cartoons. Like, what about cartoons influenced them? Which are some of those cartoons?
Oh my God, like cartoons, like the people who draw this stuff, they have such a vivid imagination. Like when you see the costume design, like the stories of the characters, you see like the universe that they try to put you in, like just a complete different universe. That's very inspiring, right? And like drawing cartoons, usually it really, really betters your skill as an artist. It does, because like you're drawing so many different things, like all these different creatures, stuff that doesn't necessarily, it's not just like drawing a microphone, you know what I mean, or like drawing a chair. You're drawing this whole new character that came out of nowhere. My biggest influence when I was very young was Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
Yeah, like Goku and that was really yeah. And when I became a teenager, then they released Naruto. That changed everything for me. Like when Naruto came out, I didn't know what to do with myself anymore. I just like all I wanted to do was draw Naruto in my books, in my friends' books, like everywhere. That's all I really wanted to do. So
Yeah.
my heaviest influence for cartoons has been Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece.
You know,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
that's almost always One Piece. Some people also like now like Attack on
Attack on
Titan.
Titans. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was the anime was so deep to me that like till now, I still
Follow.
like not follow like every
Okay.
time, but like I still like the characters embodied a vision and a mission that
Mm,
like till now I still embody. Like when I think about my career as a designer, sometimes I look at it in terms of One Piece, Luffy, like he's trying to become the king of pirates. He comes out of nowhere and then he's trying to become the king of pirates, right? And then he has this power and then he says he's going to build a team and they're going to conquer the world, right? I come from Africa, which, the world tries to see like nowhere. I come into a different place and I'm trying to be like the best designer ever. So I look at that as like we're on the same journey. So it's crazy that I'm inspired by a cartoon, but when you think about it, it's just the principle of like trying to better yourself, trying to be the best at what you do so you can be free and you can liberate others. So like I try to be the best designer I can be. So like through my journey, like photographers can find their way, like models can find their way, content creators,
right.
like other artists like me. So like my voice gives voice to a lot of other people.
Man, that is just a wonderful story. So you're kind of like this, hub, and then you have spokes like you. Okay, talking about spokes and content creators and artists and stuff. I saw what you made for Arania. When am I gonna get my one?
I got you, man. I got
Okay.
you. I'm ready now.
So,
I'm ready
but before
now.
we get to that, let's rewind
Yeah.
a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have kind of this vision, like, okay, I'm African,
Right.
and I know what it's like if you tell your parents you want to be an artist and all that. Like, how did you convince your parents you want to be an artist? Was it easy?
So there's a little bit of background to getting to that part. I would say it was easy, but there's a couple of things that made it easy, right? So when I was small, the first thing that anybody remembers about me from when I was a kid was that like I could draw, right? So I love drawing. When you come in, I would just sit down, make you sit down, auntie sit down, uncle sit down, then I would draw you, and I was good at it. I don't know how it is that I happen to be good at it because like there's no other artist in my family. It's just, but I really was. And I kept doing it. I always kept drawing. I always kept the artistic side. So my family, if there's one thing they've always known about me, is that artistic side, whatever it is else I've been, the one thing that they know about me, which is true, was that side. And also, they used to take me around to narrate. It was this time when Nollywood had just come and there were all these Nigerian movies, right? So I used to just like to narrate them. Like I would learn the whole movie and then just narrate. So my
This is
parents
what
used to
is
take me
happening. Yeah.
to their friends to like narrate stories.
Right.
So there's the drawing and there's the storytelling, right?
Right.
Then I started with the cartoons and everything. So all through my life, everything I was doing, I always kept the artistic side. I never stopped. No matter what it is I was doing, I was going to school studying all this chemistry, physics and all that, but I never ever stopped drawing, right? So fast forward now, I got into university. I guess I knew what it is I always wanted to be when I was a kid or what I hoped I would be, but I knew that that wasn't going to be possible because like who in Africa is accepting you to become an artist, And I'm in Cameroon. It's like French, Africa. It's like a whole different ball game. So I got into university and my dad said, well, go do accounting. I'm like, okay, and then I got there and I was doing the accounting. It's not so much that like I didn't like accounting. It's just that like I knew that that wasn't what I really wanted to do for the rest of my life. And it didn't matter that everybody was trying to tell me, oh my God, that's such a great career and everything. I was just like, guys, I know in the heart of my heart that this really isn't what I'm going to be doing. But while I'm here, I might as well be doing it. So by this time, like I was in like third year, like I didn't really care so much, so I had kind of stopped going to class anyways. And then this friend of mine was going to the US, and then he wanted me to I was already designing clothes for friends, and they would take to tailors and so I knew that like if I design something for someone, who would take me to a tailor, which is plain and simple, right? But I designed clothes for this my friend who's trying to go to the US, and then he takes me to a fashion house, like a designer house. Kamal, oh my God bless this woman where she is right now. I love her so much because this woman, she's literally the person who opened my eyes to the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Because I went there and then like I saw the house. It was so professional. She was so good. You know, like she had a team of people helping her, like assistants and everything. And then I was just like, this is really where I want to be. You know what I mean? So I asked her, like, she didn't have a menswear designer. I asked her, like, can I become your menswear designer? So I showed her a portfolio. She was so excited. That made me even more confident in myself. So I decided I was going to join her team, like, intern there for her. You know what's funny?
Right.
I spent way more time there than I spent going to my accounting classes. Right. So I spent a lot of time there. I would wake up and go there, and I was so motivated to do that. But it turns out that normally the degrees in Cameroon there are 3 years. I was on my 3rd year, and I knew I wasn't gonna pass my accounting degree at that time, right?
Okay.
And then, oh my God, that was shameful because I come from a family
Right.
that's heavy in education. Like my
Yeah.
dad is a professor, my mom like education. My elder brother, like he went to the same university, did economics. He was like first in the university.
Yeah.
My other brother, same thing. I was just like, oh my God, I didn't even pass. So I
Right.
felt ashamed of myself.
Oh my
However,
God.
the very important thing in my family is the pursuit of excellence. So I realized my pursuit of excellence doesn't have to be like them. What I'm really good at is art. So in order for me to pursue my own excellence, it would be great to do a career in art. I just didn't have the confidence to do it full time. And then again, the last born, I was kind of entitled, feeling that like, you know, I could just play around with life and everything. But when I discovered that I wanted to be a designer, that sobered me up. And I became very serious about it and very ambitious, right? And I think when I came back to my dad to present the idea, I'm just like, okay, so I didn't pass the degree in 3 years. However, this is what I've been doing. You know, I've been working in this fashion house. So I wasn't just talking and not showing anything. I was saying I've been working at this fashion house. These are the designs I've been creating. And coincidentally, when the year I joined that girl's house, she took Best Designer Award everywhere. So I was like, is this a sign?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just joined and automatically we're just like taking the fashion world in Cameroon by storm. So I was just like, okay, maybe if I do this. So she asked me like, why don't you do this seriously? I think you can do it seriously. I was just like, oh yeah, okay. So then I met my dad and I'm like, I would like to be a fashion designer, a professional fashion designer. So he was like, oh, I'm gonna open you a place when you finish university. I was like, no, I want to be a designer, but I want to go to school because I want to go and learn from where they do it best, and that's abroad, right? So I want to learn in a way that like I have all the skills to do design at any level. So now he saw the vision as to like, okay, it wasn't a hard conversation. I know you've been an artist anyways. And if for anything, this is the one thing which the first time that you've come to me and be like, Dad, this is really what I want to do. So there wasn't a lot of argument to that, you know? The only thing was like, okay, if you're able to finish your degree in 1 year, then I'll send you to fashion school. The motivation I had to study accounting, I've never studied accounting like that in my life, you know? I went hard. And then I finished and, you know, I thought it was going to be one of those things where he just promised me that so I can go to school, right? But when I finished, he was actually even more hype than me to send me to fashion school, you know? Like when I applied first, the Canadian embassy refused me a visa because they were just like, an African kid, you're coming from Africa, you studied accounting, you're trying to tell us you're going to Canada to study fashion design. We don't believe you. I came back to him and I was like, son, these people don't know who they're playing with. You know what I mean? Go prepare these people a portfolio. We're going to reapply again. He made a statement, everything. So that encouragement made me realize that like, I'm not one of those kids who's going to be like, oh, I came from a family that was fighting my journey. And no, my family didn't fight my journey. They really supported. And I feel like a huge part of the confidence I have to test something new comes from the fact that like, you know, it is like, it wasn't a deviant thing, you know? It's a thing that like, I'm doing it with my full chest. I own it, love it. My family loves that for me. They might not always understand the journey, right? But they love it and they've been very supportive. So it wasn't a difficult conversation.
Wow, that is beautiful. I mean, especially when he was like, "We'll do the portfolio and go back to the embassy."
Yeah.
Wow. The lady that you and what would a typical day be like at that fashion house?
At that place. So I would wake up and I would go there. So basically we clean the place, you know, and customers come into the building. They see the kind of designs we have. They can take a look at my portfolio, see if there's anything that they want there which she can make. She would send me and her assistant to go get fabrics or to go get any tools that she needs, like zippers, buttons, whatever. So we would go there and we would come back, and then we would stay. We would help her work. So like we would help her do measurements for people, and just so she had a team of sewers, right? Well, by this time I didn't know how to sew. So we would just help her do the administrative stuff, which she couldn't do, right? But it was, for me, like for the other ladies that were there, they weren't designers too. But for me, I was a designer. So we would actually have meetings and sit and discuss the designs that I made, and then discuss how she can produce them. And she always knew how to bring them to life. And I'm telling you, it wasn't always easy stuff, right? But she had such a mastery that was inspiring. I hoped I could become. I hoped I could become like her. Man.
Yeah, because that was you're saying. I'm like, I'm looking at the design, right? When you're drawing it, or actually take me to that process when you're drawing it. Are you kind of seeing how the pieces will fit and how is it actually going to be sewn?
So interesting enough, when I was in Cameroon, all I knew was just to make the drawings, right? I would draw this insane things and then just put all these shapes and all this stuff, and but even till back then I was still designing my own fabric, right? And I was still very, very down with like the detail, the details and everything. But when I went to fashion school in Montreal, right? Fashion school changed the way I design, in the sense that like now I'm designing with technical knowledge, right? So when I'm drawing the design now, I know that like, okay, this thing you're drawing like this, don't just draw it. So like, how will it be made, right? So I have an idea of how it can be made. Now, I might not have experimented on everything, but I know where to start from. So when I'm drawing and designing now, I'm designing with a technical knowledge, knowing exactly the kind of pattern that I need for this, right? So let's say I'm drawing this kind of crazy suit that's like, it has all these spikes and all this stuff. Now I know first thing I need is a basic suit, right? From that, I can change it. So going to school and being trained at school really changed the way I design. It gave me a deeper understanding of the design. So then now I can be more sophisticated.
So, okay, so I mean, you got your portfolio together, went back to the embassy. They were like, okay, cool, here's your visa, go study. How was Montreal? What was the school called?
Collège La Salle, Montreal. So La Salle College, Montreal. Wow. Those were, I don't want to say, I mean, I guess our best days are ahead, but those were really fun days, because it's one thing to be a creative on your own. It's another thing to be a creative surrounded by people who are specifically there for creativity, and you're gaining knowledge, and you're seeing. In the beginning, it's like Neo in the Matrix, right? In the beginning, he gets into the Matrix, and then he's just like Morpheus just beats him up and everything, and then he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple of scenes when he actually sips in, and then he awakens. Oh my God! Now he's literally stopping bullets, right? So in the beginning when I went, I didn't really know a lot, but I didn't really know how to sew. I didn't know what pattern making was. I didn't know none of that, right? But there was this community. I've actually been with my friends whom like we're going through these creative projects. I'm able to see the kind of stuff they think about. They're able to see the kind of stuff we think about. So that communion in creativity was really great. And Montreal is the art city of art capital of Canada.
Dude,
it is. I can stress. People say Toronto. I tell you, Montreal. Montreal is. Oh my God!
Like, cause like you thought like there's a museum here, there's an art gallery there, there's a this
you know
thing
what I mean?
there.
Like even if like there's even subcultures of art. There's like this art movement there in Montreal. They call Moonshine, right? It's like all these black artists that like. They're just doing some real alternative magic. You know what I mean? There's all these different art movements, and like it's easy for you to find a creative collective. What I realized in Halifax here is that like whatever thing I'm looking for, I need to do it myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if I'm looking for a creative collective, I need to create that collective.
Right.
And, like maybe that's a story for another time, but we did, and we've been creating all these collectives, right? But the difference with Montreal, there's already this system set
so you can just like,
so
which
you can
one
just
do
join
I belong
them.
to? Yeah.
Which one do I belong to? Like, do I belong to the alternative fashion people? Do I belong to the ready-to-wear fashion people, to like the couture people, to like the painting people, like to the spoken word? There's like so many different movements, right? So which you can join, and I feel like that's really great for Montreal. Like I did fashion school in Montreal. I swear, the knowledge it gave me after that, and like the connections it gave me after that, to actually be in spaces. Here I am, this African kid coming from don't know nobody. Like I'm out here presenting at the Phi Center. That's like one of the biggest museums in like Montreal promoting art, and I'm like, how did I get here, man?
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like this has to be a dream. So Montreal was really good. Now the problem with Montreal is that there's too much going on.
What do you mean? Like, isn't
Too
that a
much
good
going
thing,
on.
though?
It is. It's very, very exciting. There's like so many activities. You can be easily distracted.
Okay, especially with someone like you that you can. I can do this. I can do this.
You would be easily distracted. It's just like you're trying to do this one, be here, be there. There's this party here. There's this that. So that's too much going on, and I felt that like I was sort of losing myself into that, and so Halifax was the much needed recentering. That
how did you decide to pick on Halifax? I mean, you could have gone to Toronto, just next door, right?
I could have gone anywhere. That's also another thing. So in 2018, I was going to London. My transit was in Halifax. My friend Bernard, like I met him, and my transit was 10 hours, right, here in Halifax. So he showed me all around Halifax and everything, and I was like, okay, this is a nice, beautiful city. Like, you know, there isn't too much going on, but then it's not like nothing going on. You know, there's still a kind middle, right? So in Montreal, the thing with Quebec is immigration is very difficult when you're an immigrant. To become a PR, it's a journey, man. It's very difficult. Like, I don't know that Quebec really allows a lot for immigration.
I mean, but you're like, you speak French because you're
from
Cameroon.
I do. And even though I speak French, it was still difficult for me because I had been waiting for this document they had to give me. They call the Certificat de Sélection du Québec, so Quebec Selection Certificate. So when they give you that, they give you PR later. But when they give you that document, right, it means you can stay in Canada for the rest of your life, but only in Quebec. Okay. So I'd been waiting for that document like 2 years after school, and then like I still hadn't had the document. And then the government said, if you're willing to leave Quebec and go to somewhere else, we'll give you PR.
What?
yeah, like temporary resident to permanent resident. Like that was the program. Really, like it was for everybody.
Like, leave and then
if you leave Quebec, we'll give you PR. I guess it was. It was very. Yeah, I know. I guess it's one of these things where they're trying to like spread French speaking to Canada, but they were like, if you're willing to leave Quebec, then we'll give you PR. So I was like, I don't mind. Like I would leave, go start back somewhere else. But I wanted to go far away from Montreal. I didn't want it to be a thing where I can always just turn and come back. You know what I mean? So I thought about everywhere. I was just like, Halifax. I feel now, like with what I know now, I feel strongly that it was destiny. I feel strongly that my voice, whatever it is that I needed, was calling me from Halifax. I feel so clear about it right now. I had to come to Halifax. Like my destiny was in Halifax, you know? Because the things that Halifax has brought to me in my life right now, I just had to be. It just had to be Halifax.
What are some of these things?
Yeah. I mean, Halifax really gave me my voice as a designer. Because like before I was just designing cool stuff, you know? My point, what I was trying to do was just like, I'm just going to show the world that I know how to design a lot of stuff. So I was just creating and just putting out there, you know, and actually sitting back and being like, my work is going to bring people to me, which it did. It brought me a couple of projects, right? But Halifax, when I came here, I co-founded this art initiative, which is called Mawia, the abstract. So we created this like painting, a painting business kind of a thing, but like painting from like a spiritual place, from like a place of healing and all that. That actually made me understand, okay, this is what I'm really trying to do with design, you know what I mean? So like then I reimagined how I see my brand. It's just like the fire that rises from the ashes, you know, to be reborn. So it gave me a voice, right? I fell in love in Halifax. I got my first car in Halifax. I learned how to drive in Halifax. I learned to calm down. Like I learned how to better myself as a man in Halifax. So Halifax gave me the reflection, the time to reflect, to become better, to build myself, you know. Yeah, like my debut runway show, we just created Halifax Fashion Week
Yeah.
a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's literally historic. And I'm the first designer to walk on Halifax Fashion Week. And like even the team of models that I met here, like solely, oh my God, like these people, I'm just like, I had to be in Halifax, you know? Because the moment I came here and then I just awakened myself, you know? I feel like your tribe is always waiting for you, but like they will only find you when you align yourself.
Right.
So Halifax was part of me being in my alignment, and then it opened me to actually meeting myself and who I am, and actually make me grow as a. So Halifax has really been good to me, man.
Wow.
I really can't stress, even just the fact that it's beside the water, you know, like it's very calm. I'm a calm human being by nature. I guess I like to party too, but like I prefer the calm and the quiet and everything. And then Halifax just was that for me. And as a creative, that's the perfect thing, because like you're able to go hard and then also pause to reflect, so then you can do better, right? So then the art comes from a deep inspired place. I'm not just doing it because I'm in Montreal and I'm trying to be in the party scene and I'm trying to meet all this. Now like the art comes from like a deep spiritual place, and Halifax is what brought me that. Halifax reawakened my voice in that sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Halifax.
Yeah, really.
Okay,
really.
so let's talk about Fashion Week, right? How did that happen? How did you prepare for it? How was the experience?
Oh my God. Fashion Week. Okay, so when we started Mawia for a long time, my focus was just on Mawia, right? Because it's funny, but at that point, I had stopped really believing in the potential of design to be what is going to feed my family in the future, you know? I was thinking too much about like, oh, I want to make money now, you know, like I'm tired of waiting, like, am I wasting my life and everything? So I was going through a lot of doubts, right? But the motivation I got from Mawia, you know, like my partner and everything, is just like I got to believe in my brand again. Then I got a business partner, right? He's wherever I am now with the brand, I would say he is like one of the biggest things that was able to get me to this point, right? Because then he was able to build the business around me while I focus intrinsically on design and creating. So then we can have a product. So I can focus on like the brand image and like the creations and everything, right? So I got the PR for Soli Productions. Her name is Otney. She just followed me on Instagram, and then she kept seeing my work, but she wasn't really saying anything. She was just watching and just sitting quiet and not saying anything. Okay, then one day out of the blue, like, you know, she writes me and she's like, "Can we get on a call and talk about a couple of things?" I was like, "Okay." So then she calls me and then she's trying to make me understand that like, oh, they're trying to start Halifax Fashion Week with Soli. So she's with Soli Productions, right? They're trying to start Halifax Fashion Week. You know, they've been looking for designers that they can put on, you know, like new designers that they can put on. She's seeing my stuff, like she really loves them, you know, she'll try to get me on. And I'm like, okay, you know, I mean, like I'm still looking at the thing, because take note that at this point I was like trying to rebuild back up again, like reinvent my brand and everything. So I was like, okay, this sounds like a good opportunity. She was like, she's gonna make me speak to the boss of Soli, Solita. So then she connects the two of us. I guess me and Otney, the energy was great, and then she connected Solita and I, and then the energy was. I was like, oh my God. This lady, she speaks like if she speaks on my brain, you know what I mean? We have that same fire in like we're trying to start something new, to build something lasting and something historical, right? So then we got together, you know, we started talking about Halifax Fashion Week and everything. And then she saw the designs and she was like, okay, I'm sold, we're going and everything. So from then we started like preparing. I had to do a couple of pop-up shops, do a couple of things to build the brand to the point where, you know, I'm able to show a collection at Fashion Week. You know, like she was doing the training with the models. I would go watch the training, you know, like see the kind of models that I'm trying to work with, you know, just that energy and just that camaraderie with the thing, you know. It was a huge success.
Wow.
It was a huge success. It was last week, Friday. I'm still in little shackles of Cloud9 till now, but that was a week ago, you know, but it was a really great experience being able to see the vision come to life, you know, and like be the first designer to walk Fashion Week. So like it's always going to be remembered in history that like the first designer to work Fashion Week was Bato Inc. The first Fashion Week was created the year we created Fashion Week. So there's that, and then there's we didn't know how much of a good turnout it would be. We didn't know how much of good energy it would be. But after that, just everybody like spreading, it was just good vibes, man. It was just really great vibes, and like being able to put the vision now in front of everybody, right? So it's just like now you people understand what I'm working with, you know? Like I can show you a full collection. I feel like for most designers, it's good that like, you know, you have a brand and everything, but like the one that they're usually scared of is like putting on a fashion show, because then you have to show a vision for the future. And I was able to do that, and the response to that I've gotten, like I don't know that I've ever said thank you, like I've ever heard I'm proud of you more in my life than I've heard this last week. I've heard it so many times. Like I like at some point just jokingly, I was like, if I hear I'm proud of you one more time, I'm gonna like, but it's been, I'm really humbled, man. It's been one of those experiences which I don't know how else I can describe to you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So all that, I was just circling back to the whole
Yeah.
Aranya thing.
Yeah, okay.
And when I'm getting mine. But before we talk about that though,
Yeah.
you have this bag, and I'm curious, like when you told me that you actually, it's like a piece of your work.
Yeah.
What's the story there? How do you make it?
Right. So this bag, we call it the Chaotic Wealth fanny pack, right? So a friend of mine in Berlin, he had started a brand, but the brand didn't really work out the way he wanted. So he wanted to like restart himself too. So he came to me as a designer to help him design stuff, right? So I create custom artwork for prints. So when you see this bag, right, this is custom artwork that I create. I call it the Chaotic Wealth print, because at the point when we were designing this, I had just come to Halifax, right? I had gotten a better job, you know, I got to my first car. So I was thinking a lot about this concept of wealth because I was more comfortable financially, right? But now I'm also thinking, so like what is wealth really? Is it health? Is it good friends? You know, is it abundance? So what is it? Because like you can have $10 billion in your account, but then you have terminal cancer.
Right.
Or you can be the healthiest person, but then you have $1 in your account. So what exactly is wealth, right? So I feel like wealth is a chaotic subject. And I decided to create this print, you know, and then put it in gold. So it's like opulent, right? And then together with him, we manufactured this bag. So he does product design. He designed the bag, and then we put the print on it, and then now we have the bag. So this bag is manufactured in Europe. So they send it, we get it from Europe, and then we disseminate from here. But that's how the design of this bag came about. Yeah. So it's in collaboration with my friend.
Was it a friend from school or?
So I knew him in high school, but when we were in high school, we weren't really friends like that. It was just like, you know, I just knew of him. Everybody mind their business and everything.
Right.
But, you know, when we came here through social media, like he's seeing my journey, I'm seeing his own and everything. And then we always hoped that we could collaborate on something. Then the time came, and then we did it.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Your business partner, you mentioned your business partner, it's kind of like the person that's taking care of all the other things while you do all these other things. How did you meet? What are some of the things they do
He
specifically?
does. Okay. So first, his name is Suleiman Salako. He's
Yep.
Nigerian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Suleiman Salako. I call him the lion.
Why the lion?
He's very hungry.
Okay.
You know, he wants to like change shit up and actually make a great name for himself in this world. And I really respect his work ethic. So I call him the lion. So we met at this party in like 2022, or like February 2022, right? Just met there, and then I guess we were just cool, and that's it. We didn't really talk about what I do, and then we started following each other. So then he saw that I was an artist, so I was putting out all these events. By this time, we just started Mawia, so we were doing a lot of like all these events. So fast forward down the line in like September, you know, I met him again September 2022. Like by this time, like I was going through a lot. Like I had lost my job. I lost my first car. I was going through so much trouble, man. I was going through a lot. So then he was constant. He kept asking me that, like, okay, so let's talk about your brand. And I kept running away from it because I wasn't confident enough to talk about it. I didn't believe enough, right? So he would push on, be like, let's talk about it and come up with a plan. I would run away and run away and run away. At some point, like, he invited me, to come find him at his place. And then he said I should sit down and tell him the vision for my brand. Yeah, he was like, tell me, tell me, let me see, like, if I believe you, the world would believe you. So I was able to tell him the vision and convince him, and he was like, okay, we're gonna work on this together because I'm looking for. So he already has his own other business that he's doing that's going well, but like he's like, I really want to get into. I really believe in what you're doing, man. I believe that like if we do this thing right, it can be a really, really great thing. So then he said, okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna do this, okay? I'm gonna take care of the stuff like I'm gonna figure out how we're gonna build a website. I'm gonna figure out how we're gonna get funding. So I always used to complain, but like I always used to find reasons why things weren't possible. He always used to say reasons why it's possible. We just have to do it, you know what I mean? But there's just steps that we need to take to get there. Because I'm just like, oh, but like nobody's gonna give me funding. He's like, funding, there is steps that you need to take before you get to a point where you can get funding. We are gonna take those steps, you know what I mean? So he really introduced me to the entrepreneur side of things. Because I was always very focused on like the creative side of things. And then I would get disappointed when I fall short for the entrepreneur side. He came and took over the entrepreneur side of things. And then that taught me how to become an entrepreneur myself. Introduced me to like the Tribe business building program, which I did, which gave me so much information like, about business and about like running a business and like how to grow a business, which I didn't know. Like finding all these resources that can give us funding, this like organizations, like going to all these networking events. So basically, he came in as like, creativity, Robert, but you don't know business. I know business, I don't know creativity. We're going to merge the two. And then now we're going to start overlapping, The more we know about the other parts, now we're going to start like, blending each other. So like he now actually like he knows the names of like fabrics, and like the fabric prints. So he knows fashion terminology and creative terminology now, which they didn't know before. But now I know a lot about business, like the funding, the IP, the legal side, a lot of other things which I didn't know. So that's really what he brings. Like he brings that aspect. And also for every creative, you need somebody that's able to like bring you back to the ground.
Because you're always like,
and that's me. I'm like, oh my God, like vision, too much vision. I'm just dreaming all these things, and then he tries to bring it. Okay, so but like you've thought about all this stuff, but like how are we gonna pay for this? Come back to earth first. Let's figure that part out. Then we can run wild. Like in the beginning, I started like we ordered these samples from China. They were so good. I wanted to order all these many different samples. It was like, calm down. This is our budget. Yeah. We're gonna order this samples. Make this is the number we're gonna do. Make this work. Then I'll be like, okay. I go back and then I focus. So like he helps hugely on keeping me focused on like small things first. Don't think too much about all the big things. Come back to earth and focus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There's nothing as having someone like that when you're about to get off the train tracks and bring you back, this is how we are going. That's where we are heading.
Priceless.
Okay, man, I think we have to have a part 2 of this conversation now, because like we haven't even touched what Mawia is about and how that came about. So we have to have a part 2.
I think to touch Mawia, really, you need the leader of Mawia to be here. Okay. Like she is a person. She's gonna be able to give you the grand vision of what Mawia really is. You need her here if you want to talk Mawia.
Cool.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna let you go with this question though. Okay. I mean, you've shared your journey from freaking Naruto and Goku all the way to now actually running a business.
Right.
And migrating, living like Africa is far.
It is.
Moving places and now building this life that you are getting to a destination you have in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So someone might be watching this and they're like, maybe they are just starting, or maybe they are at some point in their journey.
Mm-hmm.
What advice or what are some of the lessons you've learned that you can share with that person?
Okay, first things first, be true to who you are. So a lot of people don't understand why a kid from Africa would want to become an artist. You know, they don't understand. They feel like it's just you being careless with your life. But be true with who you are. Be true with what it is that you really feel that you want to do. I would say you need a lot of courage. Courage. And I would say another thing, please, please, please figure out your why. Figure out the why you're trying to do this, because it's not an easy journey. It's creativity, because people need to judge the creativity, right? But what exactly is creative? So like you need to do something that's great. However, when you know why you're doing it, then you're able to like block the noise and focus and do the creativity. Figure out your why, you know. Please, 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 this most important. The environments in which you find yourself have to be environments that understand you, environments that support you. Don't get caught up in being in environments where nobody there understands what you're trying to do. So then, you know, if you stay around people who forget who you are, soon you're gonna forget who you are, because you're gonna try to be like these people, and then you're gonna lose your own individuality. So you need to surround yourself with people who can understand your journey and people who can support you. Support doesn't have to be financial, right? Support can just be like your friend sitting and listening to your creative idea, and you can talk to them about it. You need people who allow you to bloom. You don't need any people who try to like constrain you, right? Every other thing is a regular thing that every business goes through. You know, like there's difficult times, like when you're trying to start a business, it's difficult financially in the beginning. There's so many other things, you know, but like I promise you, when you know your why, when you have a supportive team of friends, and when you're true to yourself and who you are, there's nothing that can stop you, because those are the things which like inspire everybody to work for you, right? I know who I am, man. I'm not trying to be nobody else. You know what I mean? Like, this is my bag that I've created. I wear this bag almost to sleep, you know? So like, I love it. I love design. I'm not ashamed to be like, okay, I'm a designer. I love cartoons. I draw cartoons. My favorite part of myself is my artistic side. You know what I mean? So you need to actually fall in love with that part. And the only way to fall in love with that part is you need to find why I'm doing this. Why me? You know, why of everybody in this life, it had to be me that was actually doing this.
Wow.
Figure that out. Find a space of friends that support you. Very important. And be very true to yourself. Don't let anybody try to dilute your voice. Yes.
Wow. Robert, like I said, we have to have a part two. Because you know what? We just talked about your design. We didn't even talk about your paintings.
My paintings, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. So maybe even part three. Anyway, thank you so
I even
much
do
for
spoken
coming.
word too. So maybe
so
part
there's
4.
Oh man, thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you, man. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.